Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya Farrell. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've got Simon Lasota from Lasota Group Limited. Hello, Simon.
Hi, Sonya. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming in. Do you like our studio?
I love it. It's great, isn't it? Yeah. I didn't even realise something like this was in Hanley, so...
There you go, see?
Good to see.
A little gem that you can shout about now.
I can, yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you for coming in on Business Spotlight, Simon. Before we go anywhere, I just want to ask, because we've had a little chat off air and in the background and everything, and I know you've been in business for a long time.
Feels like it, yeah.
But we've got the Lasota Group we're talking about now, but just give me a brief about what the Lasota Group does.
So we're a consultancy based company, and I've always been very tech focused in what I do. But one of the biggest realizations I think over the past few years is about focusing more on the outcomes rather than the actual tools themselves. So there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, we sell this, or we do this, or these are the solutions we offer." Whereas our approach is kind of backwards to that. So what we do is we'll go into a business, we find the outcomes that they need, and then we either apply a tool we already have, or we build something that'll, solve that problem. So it's kind of like a backwards approach to it, as opposed to just going in and trying to, what's that square peg, round hole kind of thing. And the good thing is that when we find something that's kind of can be used across multiple businesses, so like the So AI platform, that came out of something where it's like, right, okay, this is a solution, but this is something we can use across multiple businesses. So then we put the money into building that ourselves and offering that to multiple businesses. So it's that approach.
So when you're talking about outcomes and tools, let's go back a few steps here.
Okay.
So obviously we're talking about technology here, modern technology within a business as well. But what kind of tools are you saying when you say about looking at outcomes and tools? Is it all AI, or is there other parts to it?
It's not, no. So we have a mix, that I mentioned before. Like, we get people who just want to implement AI, but they don't really have a reason for it other than they've heard it used, and obviously it's a big thing at the moment. Everybody's talking about it, a lot of buzzwords around AI and the different tools, and there's so many out there as well. So sometimes you get businesses that have kind of decision paralysis, where they're kind of, we've got all these tools we could use, and usually end up using none of them because it's kind of, right, okay, actually we'll just go back to the pen and paper we were using before because it's simpler. So tools can be something we build bespoke. So we've built bespoke platforms for companies. We can build AI solutions, AI workflows, things like that. We can implement those. So it's a wide range of tools. Some are off the shelf, but some we do build bespoke, depending on the outcome that the business wants.
So the different businesses then that you come across, and the kind of industry that you're in as well, and looking at sort of outcomes and tools, etc. It can be quite overwhelming.
Yes, definitely.
And AI is constantly mentioned all the time, and use this platform. I myself get bombarded with different, whether it's emails and getting contacted, you could use this for a system, you could use this as your CRM.
Of course.
So how does a business look at it differently instead of getting sort of, bogged down by everything like that?
So again, it depends on your business. Some people actually, might be controversial, some people actually don't need AI. They might need a simple workflow building which doesn't involve AI. So again, it's that outcome. Like, where do you want to get to? Where are you at the moment? Where do you want to get to, and can AI help that, or is AI going to actually confuse things, make it more complex than it needs to be, and leave you in a place where you spend 6 months implementing something and don't end up using it because it's too complex, like you said, if you get overwhelmed with all of that, because there's so many tools out there, and also because it's exponentially growing, you get this point where, so I do workshops, so we do training on AI in businesses and outside of that, independently. And I always say, usually 5 minutes into the pitch, that, the workshop, that a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is already out of date, or it's already improved, or it's already a new version, or things like that. So it's moving at such a pace that even I struggle to keep up with it, and I'm in the business. So expecting someone who's not in the business to keep up with it is nigh on impossible. So again, it's that thing of utilize trusted partners. Things we do is we do audits where we go in and we discuss that with them, and If we turn around and say, you don't need AI, then that's great. We can point you in the direction of other things. But otherwise, a lot of people as well are kind of testing it in their own personal space. So a lot of people are using ChatGPT or Gemini, these kind of tools.
Yep, I've heard of them.
You've heard of them. So it's great if you can use those. And then, again, you can come in with a bit more information and go, well, actually, I've used this for myself for this. Can I apply it to the business this way? So there's multiple paths. The biggest one is to, like I say, test it if you can. If you've got trusted partners or people you trust in the tech industry, ask them, sit them down with a coffee. Most people are more than happy to, chat away about the business and things like that. So gleaning some knowledge there. Networking events are always good for that as well. And like I say, using your personal kind of knowledge and thinking, is this something I can use within my business? And then looking at it from a kind of safety standpoint of, what guardrails do I need to put in place? Is there any identifiable data? Those kind of things, making sure that, that's all covered, because obviously that's a big touch point about personally identifiable data. Where is this data going? Where is it stored? You remember the GDPR thing from years ago, that paralyzed a load of companies because it just, it came out of nowhere almost. And also be careful of the AI evangelists who are perhaps don't have the experience that they think, because you have to be careful of those. Because again, going back to GDPR, I remember so many GDPR experts came out of the woodwork when it didn't even exist yet. So these people are experts on something that hadn't even been brought out. So again, it's being very careful in that space and just making sure that you're talking to these people, because again, it's your data. It's really important stuff. It's your business as well. One of the most important things you'll have. So handing that over to someone, just make sure that's someone you can trust, or you're getting it from trusted sources. So.
And then, I'm just going to ask your opinion on this, really, again, from your experience and everything and what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
But if a business was just jumping in to use something and not using it correctly, it might sound again a bit obvious, but I'm going to say that could be have a negative impact on the productivity of that business.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's like with anything. It doesn't matter if you look back in, years and years ago when they first brought out the word processor and these kind of things, all these advances in technology that have come about, it all depends on your foundation. So if you've got bad processes in your business, or no processes in your business, and you add a layer of tech on top of that, you're just going to extrapolate on bad processes. So it's not what it's going to do, it's going to multiply the issues you had before, as opposed to actually alleviating those. So those are the kind of issues you'll come across. So if you've got issues already in your business, processes wise, or you don't have processes, or they're fragmented, putting a layer of any tech, whether it be AI or a tool, it's just gonna, you have 10 problems a day because of that lack of process. You can have 100 problems a day and it's a new thing altogether. So you'll end up, so it's very careful about what you apply it to as well.
And do you sort of specialise in any particular sector, or do you see any common denominators in certain sectors?
So we're focusing at the moment on 3PL, logistics, e-commerce. That's one of our main. I've got a history in those businesses. I've had those businesses before. So that's where we're working a lot at the moment. But I do have clients in the carpentry space, the construction space, civil engineering space, dog groomer. It's a wide range of things that of businesses that we talk to. And a lot of the time we're talking about kind of core issues. I think a lot of it does come down to process. And especially when you're dealing with owner-founder businesses, they just want to cut hair, or they just want to dog groom, or they want to just do the construction, or whatever it is they do. They don't want to get involved in, and like I say, it doesn't have to be AI. It can be their receipts, sending their receipts off and making sure, we've just had the Making Tax Digital thing come out recently. That's caused a lot of friction for a lot of companies who are just like, listen, I just want to walk dogs, or I want to do this. And now I've got to have what feels like a degree in tech to be able to send off my tax returns, which used to be a form. It's them kind of things. So it always comes down to process. I think that's the common denominator across all the businesses that we work in. Getting their processes right first, and then looking at, like I said, come back to the outcomes thing, but then looking at, right, how do we put a layer of tech on this to make this more efficient? And we talk a lot about HI, which is human involvement, because that's the important bit. So we go into businesses and we don't want to replace their staff. We want to make sure that staff member is, that any tech layers we put in is augmenting what they're doing. It's not replacing what they're doing. So they can do more in less time. And also it's about taking off the things that they don't like doing, because we've been in businesses where we had one where in a logistics company where they had like 7 people in a room. And they were basically moving things between spreadsheets on screens. And we wanted to put a tech layer in there. And there was one person in there and she was just like, but I love doing this. Like, I don't want to, So what was great is we put a tech layer in there. They could then allocate some of those resources elsewhere in the business. So they moved them out of that section. And then the person who really loved it was kind of like overseeing that. So it meant that they could put their headcount down in that department, move it to where they needed more resource, and then the person who loved doing that, I mean, it's not for me, like day in day out, but she then oversaw that, and the efficiency in that department just shot through the roof. So that's the bit that we always talk about as well, that human involvement. So humans overseeing again the technology in a way. I love that, to be honest, I do. So as well, when you're going in then, if you're coming across a business or any organisation, but they are coming at you and sort of saying, well, we've got to use AI, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. How do you find it's a bit of a barrier to go back and say, well, actually, you need to think about the human side of it. Is it a barrier because everyone is that fixated on technology? It depends who you talk to. Usually it's the higher end, kind of like the board level, kind of C-suite kind of people who are just like, we need AI in this. But the forward thinking ones realise that it's a symbiotic kind of relationship. It's not a replacement. You do talk to some businesses and they're just like, look, how can I get rid of 90% of my staff and just put AI in? It's not really what we do, and again, you've got to think about the. It's not just about the productivity in the business; it's also about the culture in the business, because some of these people might have been with you for 20, 30 years. You want your people to be happy in their job; they want them to be fulfilled and things like that. If you're coming in and just saying we want to replace you, it's going to do terrible things for your morale. And things like that. So when, those kind of things, because again, there's a lot of talk about, is AI coming for my job? Is it going to replace me? Is it that and the other? And then there's quotes like, people who can use AI might replace you as opposed to AI itself. Them kind of things. I think that's more where you need to be thinking, but then again, we've got to be practical about these things, and there's not always going to be, we can't always have these jobs where, technology can do it faster, more efficiently, better. Look at Amazon. Amazon are replacing vast amounts of their workforce with AI-guided robots and things like that now worldwide. So it is coming in that sense. But the crazy thing is that I think that it should be more that AI will come along and should free up more time for us to be humans. So, if you're stacking shelves in a warehouse, nothing wrong with that. I've done it myself, but that's not really what I'd want to be doing with my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, there'll be some people who'll get massive fulfillment out of that. They like I say, the woman I used in the example earlier, who loved what she did. That's fine. It's more for, if we can replace some of these roles and give humans more time to be humans, so we can get better work-life balance, so we can spend time. So instead of AI creating paintings, humans can be doing paintings. So we can be spending more time in nature. We can be doing those kind of things. And I think if you're a forward-thinking business, you want to be creating a culture more around that. So not just thinking, right, how can I replace all these people in my business? It's more like, how can I get the same output or more of an output out of my existing, but actually using that extra resource to either grow the business and also give my employees, who are really important, the time to do things in their own life, and give them a work-life balance, give them a hybrid working role, and give them the benefits. So kind of your output either increases or stays the same, but your morale and the humans in your business will be a lot happier. So
yeah, that's kind of flipping it in a really interesting way how you've described that as well, actually. It's kind of flipping it on the other side, and almost taking away scaremongering, which it can be, for people who are employed and also businesses as well.
Yeah.
But it's almost flipping it into that negative. And I speak to a lot of businesses and come in here on Business Spotlight, and you hear more and more about those values, which are crucial.
Big time, yeah.
So are you saying there as well, I'm just going to ask you again, is it more that can also help with the recruitment process in going forward? So instead of concentrating on the tech side, concentrating again, going back to the inhuman, which you mentioned earlier.
Definitely. I think that's the most important thing because, I'm probably considered quite antisocial, so I'm probably not the best person to speak to about this. But the human element is the part, and if you remove that, what is there? If you've got because one of the main functions of humans, the main requirements of humans is so we have these needs, they need to eat, they need to, but another one is purpose. So if you take away purpose.
Okay, Simon, I'm going to ask you one more thing before we wrap up today.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you 3 things that you could 3 key points for a business now going forward into 2026.
Sure.
Perhaps if they've already implemented some technology and they're still getting a bit lost, or those we're looking to. What are the 3 things they should be aware of?
3 main things. Going back to what I was saying, focus on the outcomes. So figure out where you want to get to. It's that thing of if you haven't got a roadmap, then you'll just end up going off in multiple directions and usually end up going around in circles. So focus on your outcomes, figure that out. Look at your processes within the business. Look at, are they right and they just need more efficiency, or do they need replacing, or do they need solidifying, things like that. So and then also, third point, don't forget that HR, don't forget that human involvement. Make sure that that kind of forms the basis of any kind of strategy, because they are the most important things in your business. For the So Easy platform, one of the things we say is that one of the best things about our tech platform is the people, because we've added that human layer in there to check the content before it goes out and make sure that it's kind of human sounding, everything like that. So that is one of the most important bits about it, because the tech you can get anywhere, but focusing on that human bit. So the 3 points would be: 1, look at your outcomes. Yep. Focus on those. Look at what that looks like. Make sure your processes, either they exist for a start, or that they are solid. So you've got a clear from point A to C. And then third, don't forget that human involvement, because everyone talks about AI, and that's the main point. But as an AI consultant, sounds daft, but I haven't mentioned AI in there once really. But that human involvement, and also to add to that, make sure that if you are implementing AI, then make sure that is the solution you need, and it's not just something you're doing for the sake of having AI in the business. So it's kind of 4 points, but I hope that answers that question.
It does. Simon, thank you so much for coming in on Business Spotlight. Thank you. That's Simon Lasota from Lasota Group here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.